Hey everyone, welcome back. I left off in part 2 of this series by saying that I would give you some transplant tips and show you some new unusual containers and give a little progress report on my plants. So let's get right to it. First of all, if you're transplanting from a tray, say like this one, rather than a seedling cup, all you need to do is take a spoon or some other scooping tool, excuse me, and I'm not going to transplant one right now. I mentioned that before. With this built-in camera here, I really can't give you an over-the-shoulder shot, and doing this isn't going to help a whole lot. So there are plenty of videos here on YouTube that show you how to do it. I'm just going to give you some tips. Now, let's say from the tray, the germinating tray, your seedling is ready for the first transplant. Let's say that this arm here is the stalk of the plant, okay? Well, just take your spoon off to the side a little bit. Oh, I got a frog in my throat, excuse me. And it's just common sense. Go straight down into the soil, scoop it underneath the plant, and bring it up using your free hand to support the plant and the associated clump of soil as best you can. You're going to lose a lot of soil, don't worry about it. And then move it over to the new container where you have pre-prepared a little hole, and don't water it first. Just leave the soil loose and dry, and you pre-prepared the hole. Put the whole mess down into the new hole, and then just bring down some soil that you had scooped off to the side. If necessary, maybe you brought over enough soil to fill a hole, but in any case, you're going to bring down a little soil anyway. And then gently, and I mean gently, firm the soil around the base of the stalk. Then the next step is give that soil in the new container right around your plant a very good soaking with water. And I think you already know, don't have water standing on the surface, but give it a good soaking. And then the next step is leave it alone. Maybe, perhaps, up to 50% of the time, your plant, and let's just say that that my head and torso here are the seedling, and my arms and hands are the leaf stems and the leaves out here. About 50% of the time, maybe, your plant is going to do this. It's going to wilt down. Don't do anything to it. Leave it alone. In anywhere from 15 minutes to maybe a couple of hours, depending on various factors, it's going to come right back up again. Don't water it some more. Don't try to take a paper towel and absorb some water because you think you overwatered. Don't try to straighten it up. Don't do anything to it. Leave it alone. 999 times out of 1,000, it'll come right back up again. All right, now let's say that you have, instead of a germinating tray, you have a seedling cup like this. I used a peanut butter lid for secondary containment, punched holes in the bottom of this, very inexpensive cup, and put my seeds in there. And I finally wound up with this one seedling that I liked, and it's about ready to be transplanted again. Now, in this case, this is even easier than the previous transplant. In this case, you have to let the soil dry out somewhat. Not bone dry, but fairly dry. And all you do is, after you've pre-prepared the hole in the new container, you simply put your hand over the rim of the cup with the stalk of the seedling in between your fingers like this. And then, and I'm not going to actually do this because I don't have anything to catch the soil down here. You're going to lose some soil. Once you have it like this, hold it out in front of you and turn it upside down, all the way upside down, and with your free hand, gently squeeze all around the container, and then tap on the bottom of the container, and the whole thing will pop right out into your hand like this, and it'll be upside down. And then you just move it over to the new container, turn it right side up, put it in the hole, and do what I said before relative to soil and firming it down a little and watering it. And once again, just leave it alone. Even if it wilts, just leave it alone. As I said before, green plants are very, very resilient. You're going to do some damage to the roots. Don't worry about it. They're very regenerative in nature. Unless you totally break the stem, you're not going to damage the plant to any significant degree. So those of you that are new to this, don't worry about transplanting. It's just common sense. The whole process is just common sense. And it's going to work for you almost all the time. If it doesn't work, pull the plant up, put it in your compost pile or bin or container, or work it down into the soil in that new container for green manure. Okay? Transplanting is easy, believe me. Now, I wanted to show you a couple of new containers that I didn't show you before. Here's one. This is a small dog food bag that has a waterproof lining. This particular lining is plastic. Sometimes it's some other kind of resin like mylar or something. Just so it's waterproof is the main thing. And then you cut a milk carton approximately in half, a gallon milk jug, plastic, as the secondary containment. And this fits right in there very nicely. I've got garlic in this particular one. And this thing here is just the cut off top of a fruit jug, a jug of fruit, a container of fruit juice, a juice container. And I just set it in there to give the shoot a little support is all. Now normally this guy here is out on my back porch, and these shoots hang up over a porch railing. So they're not normally like this, although that doesn't hurt anything. So that's a very unique container that you can make yourself. I've got about half a dozen of these or so. Okay, here's another one, another container. This one is something similar, although it's a dog food biscuit bag that happens to be made out of, I think this is mylar, waterproof. You have to punch holes in the bottom of these bags, obviously. And then in this one, I transplanted a tomato, and it's doing fairly well. Somehow I lost my picture there. Anyway, this works very well, and again, I've got the bottom half or so of a milk carton for secondary containment. So you see, there are all kinds of planters already in your house. You don't have to go out and buy fancy planters. Now this I may or may not transplant again. We'll see. As I said, excuse me, it's kind of heavy. As I said in the first video, I like to experiment a lot, and what I'm trying to do is to find a new way to raise tomatoes indoors in smaller containers. I only have one tomato plant that's in a 5-gallon bucket, and that's already fruited, by the way. I would suggest to you that 5 gallons is the minimum size for a tomato plant. But I am raising tomato plants in much smaller containers just to see how they do. I don't care if they just produce a few fruits per plant. You know, I'm not feeding the world here, I'm just feeding myself. If you look over my shoulder, you'll see another of my tomato plants that is in some kind of a stainless steel cooking pot that I got at a thrift store some time ago for very little money. Now that one I haven't punched holes in the bottom. There's no drainage on that plant. So if you do that, you have to be extremely careful about overwatering for obvious reasons. You'll get a bunch of rot if you water it too much. But you can see, I think, over my shoulder here, that plant's doing fairly well. It's about 3 feet high. So I like to experiment. I'm going to try raising a tomato to maturity in just a coffee can. See how it does. Okay, that's about it. Let me look around and see if I missed something here. I don't think so. So I encourage all of you to do container gardening. It's a lot easier than outdoor gardening, at least I think it is. You know, you don't have any wind to worry about, which is a worry with tomatoes. You don't have insects, you don't have birds eating your fruit. So give it a shot, okay? That's all I have. Thank you for dropping in, and everyone be well, and happy trails and happy gardening to you. See you next time. Bye.